And welcome to today's Warrior Tip at 10 that I plan to do here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just to help us live a little more all in life and help us have more joy and purpose and direction and focus, as well as gratitude and presence and joy in our everyday moments. Today, I want to talk about something that is really, really dear to my heart, and I hope that I do it justice because I think it's so important. But I want to, well, the topic is how can we have, what is the secret to having time to be creative when we are such busy moms? And I want to talk about it through a story. And then at the end, I'll see if you guys have any thoughts or comments or insights about it. But the story is about a girl who loved stories. And she was always making up stories, playing with her dolls, and think of really creative ways to make worlds in her mind. And when she was in high school, she decided to take a creative writing class because she thought the idea of writing her own stories sounded like a really cool thing to be able to do. So she was actually excited for this class, which was unusual in her high school days. She wasn't excited for a lot of her classes. When she went in on the first day, the teacher asked them to write about 3 events that had happened to them that morning. They could just be ordinary life events. It didn't have to be anything special, and just 1 to 2 sentences about 3 of them. And so she thought, well, I had my favorite cereal for breakfast, Fruity Pebbles, so that was exciting. And I got to talk to a cute boy on the bus, so that was fun. And I also learned that my dog chewed up my favorite shoes again, so that was pretty lame. And so those were her 3 things. And then the teacher said, okay, now that you have those 3 things written, pick one. And she thought, well, probably the most interesting, eventful one here was my dog. So she picked that one. And then she said, okay, now I want you guys to write a story about that event. You can make up what happens afterwards or what happened before it or anything that has to do with any of the characters. Just make up some story that leads to a climax and then has a resolution and, the different steps. She said, but just start from this event that happened in your day. And this young girl had a big case of writer's block. She had no idea what to write. And the teacher said, go ahead and start now, but you can take it home and work on it at home and we'll peer review it tomorrow. And she looked around at her classmates and everybody seemed to be having really cool things to say. Everyone was busy writing and she just could not think. She started to write and she's like, I took my dog to the pound and he made some new friends. And she's like, I couldn't think of any climax from that. And anyway, just all these different ideas she had, none of them seemed to work and didn't fit this form. And she felt really, really dumb. And especially when she looked around and noticed that everybody else seemed to have lots of cool things to say. So she went home and decided to try to work on this some more, but still nothing came to her. And so the next day she decided to skip class because she didn't want to be peer reviewed on a paper she couldn't write. She was embarrassed and she ended up skipping most of the rest of the classes that year, and she didn't pass the class. And she learned, well, she didn't learn a lot of things because she didn't go, but she did learn that she was not creative and that she was not a writer. Those were the 2 things that she came away from that experience with. And so a few years later, she decided to she found out she met a really nice guy and she got married and he had to go to school across the country. So they moved and a few months later she had her first baby. And she decided she was going to devote all of her time and attention to being a good mother because that was her number one goal in life, was to be able to be a good mother. And she knew that nothing would be more important. And so she started to try and she failed often. And she often, the house would get messy and it wasn't as clean as she hoped. And she would sometimes lose her temper, or sometimes she knew how important it was to be present because this time went by so quickly, but she was often distracted. And she would make goals and she wouldn't keep them. And so this ideal that she had of being the best mom ever, she kept trying. And through that desire, she came to learn and to grow in her love and to grow in her abilities and understanding. And because she lived so far away from the rest of her family, she decided to start blogging. Blogging was starting to become a popular thing at the time, and she started noticing other people's blogs. And she thought, well, I could share some of our experiences with my family that lives so far away, and they could see our pictures and what we're doing. So she started writing a blog. And as she kept continued to grow in this understanding and love, and which eventually led her to people who helped her want to, or who helped her see some benefits about homeschooling. She started researching that, and she started writing more about education and the things she was learning about how to teach her children. And people outside of her family started to read some of the things she wrote, and it started to feel a little bit more it would take more time because she had to refine some of the things, and she wanted to make sure, even though the spelling was often, or the grammar wasn't always correct, she wanted to make it as good as possible for all of these other people that were reading it. And often these attempts and these times taking that she took to write made her feel pretty guilty, because she knew it was time that she was taking away from her kids, and time that she could be nurturing them and teaching them, and she felt like it was keeping her from being the best mom that she could be. And so she struggled with these conflicting emotions, because she thought she was doing some good and helping people, but at the same time she didn't want that to take away from her kids and the time that she wanted to spend with them. And so she had conflicting feelings. And then one day she went to a mother's retreat up in the mountains, and it was a beautiful occasion, and there was beautiful speakers who said some awesome things about mothering and about education and how to teach our children. And she was just really inspired to be the best mom ever again. And as part of their retreat, they had the option of going on a morning hike in the dark, and to watch the sunrise on top of this mountain. And they would take their journals and they would write some of their thoughts that they had had. They had some questions that they could answer. So she decided to take advantage of this opportunity. So she got up early, hiked up the mountain in the dark with her flashlight. She got up there and she was looking at this beautiful view in the mountains and this beautiful sunrise, and thinking about how inspired she was to be the best mom ever. And she thought, you know what? I'm going to give up blogging. It's taking away time from my family, and it's kind of selfish because I enjoy it so much. So I am ready, Heavenly Father, to put that on the altar and to give it up so that I can be the kind of mother my kids deserve. And what happened next was very, very surprising to her, because, like I said, she had always believed herself to be a very bad writer. She had never considered this to be something that she needed to nurture and to cultivate. But all of a sudden, all these images of people who had been blessed by her writing, who had written her and said, "This was really helpful to me, thank you," who had said something about how something she had said helped their family, all these people started coming into her mind. And she thought, wait a minute, why is this happening? Why am I having all of these thoughts? I was so ready to give this up, and now I'm feeling like maybe I'm not supposed to. And so she realized that it was something that her Heavenly Father wanted her to keep doing, which was a complete surprise to her, like I said. And as you probably figured out, this is a story about me and part of my journey in choosing to do some things that would help share a message I felt strongly about. And as I look back on this experience, I realize how interesting it was that I thought that giving up something good that I was doing because I enjoyed it was a righteous thing, that it would make me more, that would make me better because I was giving something I loved. And as I look back on it now, it seems a little strange, but I think it's very, very common. And I still do it with some things, but I think it's very common for moms to feel like the more martyr they are, the more that they give up of the things they love, that the better of a mother they are, or the more righteous in a way that they are. And I know that's how I was feeling at the time. And so it did take me by surprise that that was not a good thing, and that my Heavenly Father actually wanted me to nurture that gift within me. And He wanted me to take time to do the things I loved and to nurture myself. And it wasn't until many years later that I understood that part of being a mother was nurturing my children, but also nurturing myself. I needed to learn to mother myself and to take care of my gifts and talents and to learn to use those for good. I want my children to learn to do. And the reason I share that and what that has to do with the secret of being creative, or taking the time to be creative when we're busy moms, is that the secret really is to understand that that it should be a priority. To understand that being creative and using our gifts helps us become better mothers, better people. we are our children's most important curriculum. I often hear people ask, what's the best curriculum for this? What's the best curriculum for that? In all honesty, it is us as mothers. We are the book that our children are going to read day in and day out. We're the people that are going to be most influential to them through their lives. And if we don't take the time to nurture ourselves and to use our creative gifts and to try to make a difference in the world in some way, then we are not being better mothers because we're giving all of our time to nurturing our children's potential. We are being led by the lie that completely ridding ourselves of all of our loves and desires and passions and interests is a good thing. It is not. And I believed that for a long time. And so I think that's why I feel so strongly about sharing this message that we are called to do things that will change the world. And we have unique gifts and talents, unique experiences, unique relationships and ideas and ways of thinking that will influence the world. And if we keep them to ourselves because we're so busy doing the important things that we do as mothers, then the world is shortchanged from what we could give it. And I'm not saying that, of course, we gotta just spend all of our time writing or doing the things we love and neglecting our children, because that's not the right way to do it either. We gotta have our priorities straight and love our children and nurture them, but also realize that part of our priority needs to be developing our gifts and using our talents for good. And it doesn't have to take a long time every day, but it should take some of our time every day. It should be something that we prioritize. And so that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing these daily lives, and that's why I wrote the books that I wrote, and the book and the journals and the program that I'm doing, is because I want us to learn, step by step, encourage one another in that pursuit, because it's hard. It's hard as moms. We are so busy, and there's so many things that are constantly vying for our attention, and our thoughts are constantly interrupted as we're, having this train of thought. There will be people that are talking at us, and then we'll suddenly realize, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be being present, and so many things happen that keep us from feeling like we have the time. But if we can encourage each other and we can see the step-by-step way to get there, then we can do so much good together in this world. And I truly, strongly, very firmly believe that to be true. And so that's what this is for. And that's why I'm doing all of these things. I may look like I'm out here too much, but I do feel strongly about it. And I hope to encourage some of you to also share some things, get on lives, do things that are uncomfortable, because I do believe that you have so much light to share, and the world needs to hear it. So that's what I have to share today. I don't see any comments. I said it earlier that if you had some that you could share them as I talked, but I know that maybe some of you didn't hear that. So if you have any comments moving forward, as you watch this on replay, or any thoughts or insights about this or questions, feel free to post them and I'll see them later, and others can also benefit from your thoughts. I hope this was helpful. Again, I'll be doing these every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you are interested in learning more about the step-by-step way to figuring out how to make our personal impact and prioritize our lives and learn how to make sure that our children are self-motivated to do these things as well, so that we all are engaged in this noble cause, instead of mom trying to push her kids to be doing the things that they're supposed to do and nobody really being inspired and excited to take up their work. There is a way to do it, and it is possible for all of us. So if you're interested in that, I'll put a link below, or you can just get on the website at warrioreducation.com, click on start here, and there will be a free basic training bootcamp that starts you on the 5 ingredients to organically grow self-motivated learners and leaders, as well as how to overcome perfectionism so we can move forward on our path. And it has an audio that goes with it too, so if you rather listen in your car instead of getting on and doing the videos, that's great too. It has a different ways for you to take in the content, because I know we're busy and everyone has different ways you can read it, listen to it, or watch it, whatever works for you, because I'm trying my best to figure out ways that will be most beneficial to you as a busy mom. So I hope that's helpful. I went over time. I'm trying to keep these under 10 minutes, but it was a lot I had to share. So I will talk to you later.